All right, good evening and welcome to this session from Ripon College. We have some recent alums online with us tonight to talk about their experiences with Ripon and let us know what they're doing since and share how they got to where they are now and what the benefits of going to Ripon were. I'm going to start off myself. I'm Jill Cardinal, the campus event coordinator, and I'm welcomed by 4 recent alums. I will have them introduce themselves and then we'll kind of jump in with some questions and discussion. So Kaylee, if you would start off with introducing yourself and maybe when you graduated and what you're doing now.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kaylee Butler. I graduated in the spring of 2020, and I'm currently teaching kindergarten in Green Lake.
Wonderful. And you are from where, Kaylee?
I'm from Berlin, Wisconsin.
Berlin, Wisconsin. I know, I just want to make sure. Nikki, how about you next?
Yeah, I'm Nicole Stengel. I was Nicole Zieman at Ripon. I'm originally from Sussex, Wisconsin. I now live in Wausau, and I am an employment law attorney. And I graduated in 2017.
Great. And Jordan?
Yeah, my name's Jordan Steedy. I graduated with Nikki in 2017. I'm from Pulaski, Wisconsin, so near Green Bay. And I'm currently a clinical psychology PhD student at Marquette University in Milwaukee.
Great. And last but not least, Adam.
Hi, so my name's Adam Marowski. Just like Kaylee, I graduated in the spring of 2020, and I currently work at Pharmaceutical Product Development in Middleton, Wisconsin, which is a leading global contract research organization for the pharmaceutical industry.
Great. All out there in the world, being adults, right? So let's start back, Kaylee. I know that you're teaching now. Talk about your path. Like, why did you choose Ripon? Tell me something that stood out in your 4 years at Ripon.
I think I chose Ripon because the first thing that really attracted me to Ripon was the small, quaint charm that the town itself had. I grew up not too far away, so I was familiar with the town and some familiar faces on campus. My mom actually taught at Ripon a few years before I went there in the education department. So that's kind of where I first got my taste of Ripon. And then I fell in love with it once I was able to get on campus and meet faculty and staff and other students. It was just very obvious to me the deep personable relationships that everybody had with one another. It was really an instant home.
Great.
Yeah.
Jordan, you're up from the area of Green Bay and came down to Ripon. What was the thing that sold you on Ripon?
A lot of things. One of them, I played basketball at Ripon. So Coach Kane, I was I think I was his first recruiting class that came there. So I knew I wanted to play basketball, and I knew I wanted to go to a place where there were small class sizes, and I just didn't want to be a number. I wanted to have small class sizes and really be able to connect with my professors, and then play basketball at the same time too. And I ended up going to graduate school. Like I said, I'm a PhD student now, and talking to my advisor who let me into graduate school. We were just talking about like how he let me in and what one of the things that like why he was looking at me for the program. And something that was really important to him was one of my letters of recommendation was written by President Massetti. And so it was something where you'd never get that at any other college. I mean, Ripon's one of the few where it's a small college. I mean, President Massetti knew me. I was part of the Presidential Leadership Club at Ripon. And so to get to know the president, for him to write me a letter of recommendation that helped me get into grad school was really huge. And the other thing he said was my advisor always looks for student athletes too. So that was another thing. So being an athlete at Ripon was another huge part of that. And I loved it there my 4 years.
How did you find the school to go to for your master's and PhD program?
Yeah, so Professor Hatcher and Professor Kovac-Lesh in the psychology department, they were huge for that. So I actually didn't know, even going into my going into my junior year, I still wasn't sure if I wanted to go into psychology. And Professor Kovac-Lesh helped me get an internship at Johns Hopkins the summer before my senior year. And there's an internship at a psychology clinic there at Johns Hopkins. And I loved it there. And so that's how I decided right before my senior year that I wanted to get my PhD in clinical psychology. And I had a lot of one-on-one meetings with both Professor Hatcher and Kovac Lesh, just figuring out what exactly I wanted to go into. And they were really, really helpful with that.
Great. Nikki, let's turn to you. I know obviously you went into law school and things. Tell us that path and why you chose Ripon initially.
Yeah, so when I was looking at college first, I knew I wanted to go to a smaller school because I wanted to run track. So I was looking mainly between Ripon and St. Norbert's. And when I toured Ripon, it just really felt like home. The people on my visit were great. I just could see myself being there for 4 years and making it my own. So that's ultimately why I chose Ripon, because I could run track. And I just fell in love with the school. But then going to school, I knew I wanted to go to law school afterwards. That was always my path. So I did politics and business degree, and then I minored in law. And so one of my mentors throughout Ripon was Steve Sorensen. He works at a big firm in Oshkosh and has his own practice in Ripon. And so I took all of the classes I could from him in law fields, and I worked in his law office during my time at Ripon, which was really helpful, getting some real-time exposure to what the practice of law was going to be like before I even went to law school. And he really helped guide me in my decision of where I wanted to go to law school, where I wanted to apply. So after Ripon, I went to St. Thomas out in Minneapolis, and I really enjoyed it. And Ripon was a big part in helping me choose what school I wanted to go to continue my education.
Great. And then Adam, tell us again your reason for choosing Ripon and a little bit about your path and your years there.
Yeah, so I grew up in a pretty small town in Minnesota. So just based on like my experience in high school, I knew I was looking for somewhere, pretty small where I wasn't going to feel overwhelmed or anything like that. So that really narrowed it down to, a liberal arts college for me. What really sold me on Ripon though is coming on campus and getting to meet a lot of the faculty, especially in the sciences. I knew that I wanted to do something related to biology. Originally, I was thinking medical school, but I've now decided that eventually I want to go into graduate school. But getting to meet some of the professors and learning about the opportunities you get not only in class, but all the opportunities outside of class to work with them, whether it's on your senior seminar or just side projects that they have. It was really a unique experience that I didn't get at any other school I went on a tour at. And I knew that individualized attention would help me really no matter what I went into after my graduation.
And Adam, you went right into the field. Tell us a little bit about finding that job that you're doing now.
Yeah, so the career officer at Ripon was actually a really big help with that. They actually, I think it was through Handshake, which is their recruitment website. Somebody from my company that I'm working at now actually reached out directly to me and basically said, "Hey, we have interviews this day. Just come down to Middleton. We're looking to hire a bunch of people because of coronavirus and everything." So I showed up here, and literally a week later, I had a job. So Ripon in that regard as well made my transition extremely easy between being a student and working full time now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the things about Ripon is our curriculum. And I have to ask, I'm forgetting when we started. Were all of you in the curriculum? No. So Jordan and Nikki. Okay. So let's look at Kaylee and Adam. Kaylee, could you talk a little bit about the curriculum and the catalyst and why that helped you?
Sure. I really enjoyed this Catalyst program. It was new my freshman year as well as Adam's. So we were kind of the first ones to jump on this train, but it was extremely exciting. We got to just broaden our horizons with so many different opportunities and just so many different programs and classes that we could take that were maybe outside of our comfort zone, but just gave us a wide exposure of so many different topics. A lot of them varied, so it didn't have to align with your major or minor at all. It was something that you could try, and if you liked it, you could take more classes like that. So that was exciting for me. And then as far as the capstone experience on our senior year, we got to collaborate with 4 other classmates of ours that were from different backgrounds. So they didn't match you up with people with your same major or minors. that part didn't matter. We just got to come together and bring all of our different experiences in and work towards topics of conversation and strategize to kind of come up with all different types of conversations to be had. So it was very exciting and interesting to kind of be the first to jump on it.
Adam, do you remember what your the seminar was that your students and you had to work on for that semester?
Yeah, so actually, that seminar that I did kind of led to my current career path. My group decided to do our research on pharmaceutical pollution of groundwater and just tap water in general, which at the time I was still planning to go straight into grad school for, environmental biology or something similar. But now that I'm actually working in the pharmaceutical industry, I get to see a lot of the things that we worked on firsthand. And actually, my research that I did for that Catalyst project was a big part of helping me get accepted into Baylor University's PhD program a couple weeks ago. So I think it was immensely helpful for me to go through that experience. But beyond just the actual research, the skills that I developed throughout Catalyst, to be honest, when I started, I was a little bit skeptical. I was, I'm a bio major. Why do I need to take an English class? Why do I need to take all these things that are outside of my major? But at the end of the day, everything you learn in those courses, regardless of what you do, you'll be using every single day. I work in a team now of 20 plus people that I have to communicate with every single day. And I use those skills that I learned in Catalyst, every time that I set foot at work.
Wonderful. Jordan, and I know Nikki, I forget, Keely, were you an athlete as well?
No.
No. Okay. I thought I had it right. So Jordan and Nikki. Jordan first, you mentioned playing basketball with Coach Kane. How was it for you being a student athlete? How did that affect you on campus? How did it affect your studies? How did you balance?
I think it really helped me organize my time because with being a student athlete, you're practicing, especially for the basketball season. It's both first and second semester, and it's a long season. And when you have practice at night, you have to figure out when you're going to do your homework, studying for tests. And I think that really helped me for being in graduate school now, where I have much more work than I did in college. So just being able to organize that time and be able to structure it. The basketball program really helped me with that. But then also I think it was awesome that I kind of had like a makeshift group of friends already coming in. So when I came in my freshman year, I was in a suite with 3 other guys from the basketball team. And a few of us ended up living with each other all 4 years there. And I'm still really close to them now. So that was another great part about it, is how close I was able to be with them. And it's kind of nice just having those other guys with you, as you're going through all 4 years.
Great. Nikki, what would you say as far as being an athlete at Ripon College?
Yeah, I would really echo what Jordan said. I think being an athlete allowed me to really prioritize time management from freshman year on. I knew I was going to have practice and I needed to get my work done. And it gave me a group of people that also had to do that. So I had people holding me accountable on and off the track. And our coach was really great about, we were athletes, but school did come first. Sometimes we would need to leave early for a meet. And he was very on top of making sure that we were getting our assignments in and we weren't missing tests. And our professors were okay with us if we had to leave early or something like that. So it was a really great from the get-go being able to have that time management skill. And then like Jordan said, it's just a group of people that from the get-go you had a connection with and you could really grow that connection. I mean, I have teammates that will be lifelong friends. I just stood up in one of my teammates' weddings this past summer as her bridesmaid. So it was really great on both ends of the spectrum, academically and then socially as well.
And I think the other thing too is just being able to talk to alumni who played in the basketball program and having that connection for internships and for job opportunities after. Or on my end, I talked to some of the former basketball players just about graduate school. And it's nice for me now. Coach Kane just reached out to me a few weeks ago to talk to one of the guys on the team right now. And so we kind of carry that on where the older players did it with us, and now I'm going to be doing it with the younger players too. I think that's a really cool part of it.
Very good. Kaylee, I know that you are teaching now. Tell us about your student teaching with Ripon and how that came to be and where you student taught.
Yeah, so my original plan prior to COVID was to student teach in New Zealand. Ripon had a great program in partnership with a college in New Zealand, so I would be able to go there and get really amazing experiences. But because of COVID, I found out in August that my plans had to change slightly. So I did student teach in Green Lake, Wisconsin, which is now where I currently am teaching kindergarten. So it was a very seamless, very fluid transition. I really felt super guided by Professor Rigdon. She's amazing. But she just guided me, even though there were so many different rocks and different detours the entire way. She really kept my spirits up because it was difficult to find news like that. But I absolutely love Green Lake, and I was able to walk right into a position, which was incredible and such a blessing. So they really made that process seamless for me.
So how are you teaching now? Are you with little kids? Are you in the classroom every day?
Yeah, we've been in person since day one. So, which again is outstanding. I'm so happy to be there. But we actually have 2 cohorts of kids. So there's a group of 6 and then a group of 10 in the other classroom. So me and another teacher, we switch every single day. So I'm with a different group each day, but it's been so unique and so just really personable to be with the kids and get to know them one-on-one. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been amazing.
Cool. Adam, I want to talk about your research that you did, and maybe even if you could talk about, I know you were in the band. Were you in the band the entire time, or want to talk about being involved in fine arts a little bit and your research?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about that. So on the fine arts end, yes, I was in the symphonic wind ensemble every semester that I was at Ripon. And that also is probably one of the things that really sold me on Ripon. Throughout high school, middle school, I'd been in band. Like, it was never a huge thing for me, but it was definitely something I enjoyed doing, on the side in addition to my academics. And I was really interested in being able to continue that into college. And a lot of other places I went, if you're going to do music, you needed to have that be like your main focus. You're going to, have class in the middle of the day. You wouldn't be able to do like a double major where your music and something else like that was going to be your main thing. Whereas at Ripon, they make a really great effort to schedule all of the music classes, outside of the normal class hours. So I was able to take, a full 16 or 20 credits per semester and music on top of that. And there was never, any interference between them, which was really good for me because I got to, continue at that high level, keep learning about something that I was passionate about without having to commit, my entire life at college to it. In terms of the research I did, though, on campus, I was lucky enough to get to work with a couple different biology professors during my time there. One of them is now retired, but still spends probably a good 50 hours a week on campus, specifically Dr. Bob. He's been teaching at Ripon for 30 some years at this point. And he kind of gave me like my initial introduction to research. At first, it was basically just, I would stop by his office and we'd go wander around the different ponds and streams near Ripon and, just collect samples, and he'd show me all his cool instruments. And then I got to do a couple independent studies with him as well. So I was actually getting credit to, just go around, learn from this guy who's just, an incredible resource of knowledge about aquatic biology. And that really kind of ignited my passion for what I want to do in my future. I was also lucky enough to be one of the sustainability interns at the college for 2 years while I was there, which led to all kinds of different research. But one of the most exciting ones was actually working with Green Lake County's public health department to work on a better tool for them to determine where water needs to be tested for contamination. And because of that, I actually got to present at a conference that should have been in New York City, and I should have got to spend the whole week there. But thanks to COVID, it was all online. But it was still a great experience nonetheless. And Ripon, those experiences set me up for internships during my time there, and also definitely for the career I'm in now and graduate school in the future.
So I want to point out, a couple things I think about the 4 of you and the different things you did. Can any of you speak to the fact, I guess, students you went to school with, do you think you guys are unique to the experiences you had? Or do you have just an example of someone else you went to school with that's doing something? Anybody have anything they can share?
I mean, I don't think it's unique. When I was in Ripon, I was in track, I was in a sorority, I was in multiple clubs, I worked multiple jobs on campus, and that was pretty common. One of my best friends in college, she was also on track, and she was in my sorority with me, and she had multiple jobs on campus, and she was in multiple clubs. And I think most of the girls in sorority and most of my track members were doing other things, and they had jobs on and off campus, and they were doing double majors and minors. And that's pretty common experience, I think, among everyone. You have to try really hard at Ripon to not do anything, because you're going to make connections and friends, and they're going to drag you along, and you're going to learn that you love this, or that's not for you, but maybe this is. So if you want to be a hermit in your room, you can, but there's so much to do, and you're going to love it, and you're going to meet people that you're going to want to bring to these things.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything that they want to add on just, again, other friends or acquaintances they have and what things that they did?
Yeah, I would
Oh,
totally
sorry.
agree. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Okay. I mean, I would mostly just echo what Nikki said. Everybody that I knew was, getting a major and a minor, double majors, and they were in sports, or they were in different clubs or Greek life, or you name it. Just some of my closest friends from there. One of my best friends is at dental school out in Omaha right now. Another one's working at the U.S. Capitol out in D.C. So you'll get to meet, people from all different places around the world and around the country that go on to do all kinds of different things. And I think it's really such a unique experience because you get to grow so close with them. Even people that you aren't necessarily the best of friends with. It's such a small campus that you will know everybody in your senior class by the time you graduate, and you're going to have all of these connections, around the world afterwards.
Kaylee, you want to add something?
Yeah, I would just totally agree with the two of them. I think across the board, everybody is pretty much falling into some type of group or organization. And that's something that did really impress me about Ripon, was that even though it's a small school, there are so many different things that you can be involved in. And I was a part of sorority, and just everybody around me was just linking arms with you and encouraging you. So I think Nikki nailed it when she had said that. One of my best friends was also in my sorority, and she student taught in Arizona on a reservation that she was just able to gain so many different just skill sets and strategies and incredible experiences through that. So I think, yeah, across the board, everybody is there to help one another out and just be on the same team.
Thank you.
I think, Adam, you're saying your friends, so they kind of went out after and in DC and went out to other places. So two of my closest friends, they got jobs when they're at Ripon, and admissions and advancement. While they were there, they had jobs over the summer, and they loved Ripon so much, they ended up staying in Ripon, and now they're both full-time there and still working for the past 4 years there, and they love it. So it could be places where, some people love Ripon so much that they'll stay there, and there's opportunities there that are pretty cool too.
Very good. Were any of you, as we like to call it, multi-interested when you came in? Were you all I guess, looking at 4 years, when you first started, are you really where you thought you would be, or had things kind of evolved? Anybody want to speak to that of, again, choosing your majors and your path while you were at Ripon?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So I came into Ripon and I thought I wanted to go to med school right away. And I'm in my graduate school for psychology now. Had never taken a psychology class before coming to Ripon. And my first semester, I took a class with Professor Hatcher. And it was just an intro to psychology class. And I loved it. And so I'm like, well, now I want to try and get some more psychology courses. And I was still thinking, do I want to go psychology or go to med school? And for my major, I ended up doing a psychobiology major, which was really nice because it gave me both options. So I was taking psychology classes and biology classes. And the crazy thing is, even going into my junior year and halfway through my junior year, I was kind of still thinking med school. I really liked psychology, but I still wasn't sure. And finally, like I said before, I did that internship the summer before my senior year. And that's where I finally decided psychology. But I think that, and especially now being at Marquette, when I talk to undergrads that I work with, they feel like they need to decide right away their freshman year about what their major is going to be and where they're going to go, and need to know right away. And that's totally not true. I mean, I got into graduate school right out of Ripon, and I didn't know until the end of my junior year. So it's something that you don't need to decide right away, but there's so many opportunities that you just continue to try to find internships and continue to do well in your classes that can happen a little bit later on.
Nikki, I know you mentioned, a couple of majors and a minor and law school. Did you have that plan when you came in as a freshman? And tell us about your journey with majors.
So I wanted to go to law school right away. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. So a minoring in law was a no-brainer. Honestly, I didn't really know what kind of major you needed to be to law school. I kind of just assumed it needed to be politics, which is wrong. Anyone who wants to go to law school, you can do anything beforehand. You don't have to just do politics. I enjoyed it. I love Professor Schatzinger and Professor Colucci. So it was a great path for me, but it's not the only path. And then honestly, I did a business major as well because I enjoyed business, I enjoy numbers, and it was kind of a fallback because I had always wanted to go to law school, but I also wanted to see what else was out there. And if I really, really hated it at the end of the day, I wanted something else that I could fall back on. So that's why I went with those two majors as my choices.
Good. Well, I'm thinking of winding things down, but I want to, I guess, ask each of you, if you were that senior in high school, again, looking at schools, what's a piece of advice that you would tell a student who's listening today?
I think something I would tell them is just to live the moment as best as you can. I think Adam and I can relate on this one where we were so wrapped up in what's going on around us, and just, you think you have a plan completely laid out, and it can just, the rug can get wiped out from under you right away. So live each moment like it's your last. I know it's said a lot, but I think we all kind of awoke that year. So yeah, just do the best you can and be flexible, be teachable. I think that's huge. And yeah, just do the best you can.
Cool. Jordan, how about you? Any advice that you would give to seniors today?
I think for going into college, just to continue to try new things. There's things at Ripon, like one of them being a tour guide, that before going there, I never would have thought I would have been a tour guide at all. Something that one of my friends asked me to do, and it was something that I really, really enjoyed. Also just being in different clubs, just I think trying to just be active in the community and try as many different clubs, different activities that you can. And when you do that, you can find some things you really enjoy and things that kind of carry over even past college too. So I think mine would be just try new things.
I would say that people and the atmosphere are probably honestly the most important things when you are looking at schools, but even beyond for your future and jobs. Like when I was in Ripon, the people and the atmosphere were really what made it home and made it the best 4 years. The academics were great. I got into law school. I've continued my path that I wanted to be on, but those 4 years could have really been awful getting to that next step if it wasn't for the people and the atmosphere. So as you move forward to college and then post-college, whether that's a job or more schooling, those are really two things you should always be looking for that make you feel comfortable and make you feel at home if you want to enjoy that next stage of life.
And your sister is graduating this year. I was
Yep.
shocked. I was like, how did this happen already? That
Her
Jackie's a
and her
senior?
boyfriend bought a house in Ripon because they love
Are
Ripon
you
so much.
are you kidding?
They
Wow.
live right by the track. They moved in around Thanksgiving.
Wow. No, I just the other day I came across Jackie's name. I'm like, what? She's graduating?
Yeah.
Anyway, Adam, advice from you?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of echo what was already said, Ripon's really the kind of place that you'll get out of it what you put into it. If you put in your best effort and put yourself out there and, you're open to trying new things, it'll be, the best 4 years of your life this far. but also, you know, like we kind of discussed earlier, don't feel like you need to know exactly what you're going to do going in. It's a great place to, you know, discover yourself both, you know, academically and career wise, but just as a person in general. And yeah, if I could go back and do it all again, I gladly would in a heartbeat.
Wonderful. Well, on behalf of the Office of Admission, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and best to you all in your future. I'm just
Thanks.
stopping recording.